This is another sign of the times, an analysis and a commentary. The terrifying, chaotic escape from the luxury cruise liner Costa Concordia was straight out of a scene from Titanic for many of the 4,000 plus passengers and crew on the cruise ship, which ran aground off the Italian coast late Friday and flipped on its side with a 160-foot gash in its hull. At least 3 bodies were recovered. Some 40 others remained unaccounted for. The grounding of the Concordia was one of the most dramatic cruise ship accidents in recent memory. It immediately raised a host of questions. Why did it hit a reef so close to the Tuscan island of Giglio? Did a power failure cause the crew to lose control? Did the captain, under investigation on manslaughter allegations, steered in the wrong direction on purpose? And why did crew members tell passengers they weren't in danger until the boat or ship was listing dangerously to the side? The delay made lifeboat rescue eventually impossible for some of the passengers, some of whom jumped into the sea, while others waited to be plucked to safety by helicopters. "We had to scream at the controllers to release the boats from the side," said a passenger. "It was a scramble, an absolute scramble." The passenger said the boat he was on the upended port side, became stuck along the ship's wall as it came down. The U.S.-based cruise giant Carnival Corporation defended the actions of its crew and said it was cooperating with the investigation. Carnival Corporation issued a statement expressing sympathy that didn't address the allegations of delayed evacuation. The ship's captain was detained for questioning by prosecutors, investigating him for suspected manslaughter, abandoning ship before all others, and causing a shipwreck, State TV and Sky TV said. France said 2 of the victims were Frenchmen. The 3rd victim was a crewman from Peru. Some 30 people were injured, at least 2 seriously. Late Saturday, firefighters who had been searching the ship for dozens who remained missing heard distinct shouts, one in a male voice, another in a female voice, coming from the cruiser liner, a Coast Guard officer said. They turned out to be a honeymooning South Korean couple who were brought out in good condition. A risky search by divers of the sunken, water-filled half of the ship for the missing was suspended at darkness. The trapped survivors were found more than 24 hours after the ship ran aground and lurched violently. Passengers described a scene of frantic confusion. Silverware, plates, and glasses crashed down from the dining room's upper floor balcony. Children wailed, and darkened hallways upended themselves. Panicked passengers slipped on broken glass as the lights went out while crew members insisted nothing serious was wrong. "Have you seen Titanic?" "That's exactly what it was," said a schoolteacher from Los Angeles. A top Costa executive said the Concordia's captain had the liner on its regular weekly route when it struck a reef. Italian Coast Guard officials said the circumstances were still unclear, but obviously the ship was not on its regular course. It was very close to the shore and in shallow water. Somebody must be responsible for this disaster. In other words, echoes of the Titanic 100 years later. So, this time, instead of an iceberg, it was a reef. May the Lord rest their souls. This, too, is another sign of the times, the end of times as we know them, transition days, which is a time of extraordinary happenings, events, and changes. Everything that must change quickly or rapidly, and for the better, because it's about what kind of world are we leaving to the future generations. Again, everything is connected, and everything is numbered. It's also called fate or destiny. Daniel chapter 12. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which stands for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of troubles, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. 2. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. 3. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness, as the stars forever and ever. 4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words, and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Revelation chapter 10, verse 5. And the angel which I saw stand upon the sea and upon the earth lifted up his hand to heaven. 6. And swore by him that lives for ever and ever, who created heaven, and the things that therein are, and the earth, and the things that therein are, and the sea, and the things which are therein, that there should be time no longer. 7. But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of God should be finished, as he has declared to his servants the prophets. Yes, it's time for prophecy to be fulfilled. And all these are more signs. Ominous beginnings. The Titanic and the Concordia have many similarities. The Titanic was the biggest ship built to date in England at that time, and the Concordia was the biggest ship built so far in Italy. One crashed into an iceberg, the other a reef or rock. Christened in 2006, the Concordia was the largest and most luxurious in the Costa cruise fleet, boasting bars, restaurants, a gym, large spa, and several lavish suites. In its day, the Titanic had similar amenities, although there were more severe class differences on the Titanic. The Concordia was slightly larger, 952 feet, to the Titanic's 883 feet, and both had a top speed of 23 knots. Ominously, both had issues with their christening, and believers in superstition may attribute the ship's tragedies to it. Before a ship's maiden voyage, it's common for a dignitary to christen the vessel by breaking a bottle of champagne on the hull for supposed good luck. The Titanic was never christened. The Concordia was christened during a ceremony when the ship came online, but the champagne bottle never broke. After each tragedy, people wondered whether the lack of a proper christening was a bad omen. To follow up, the owner of the capsized Italian cruise ship has issued a statement saying that it appears the ship's captain was at fault in the tragedy, but has claimed at least 5 lives. 15 more people, including 2 Americans, are still missing. They say that the ship's captain was trying to get close to shore so that the ship's head waiter could salute his family on land. Revelation chapter 11, verse 14. The second woe is past, and, behold, the third woe comes quickly. And these are more signs.